Hi folks, this is Dragon again. We're inside the living area of one of Steve's containers. What he's done on the front here is he's put a bit of an alcove in. That's the main door and centre frame there. And then he's recessed the timber door back inside the container, probably about, what, 3 feet, Steve?
Yeah, it's about that. Yep.
About 3 feet, yeah. So that it gives better access and ventilation to the living area rather than having to close the container doors all the time. So
Protects the entry from the weather a bit as well.
it does, yeah, yeah. And it certainly gives you more light in here too through that door. So and these are the windows that Steve spoke about putting in there.
As you can see, the angle wraps around the inside of the wall there to give it extra strength.
Yep.
And help with the ceiling. The timber reveal there's left proud, so that we haven't made up our mind yet whether we're going to line it from the outside or the inside, but at least this way the timber reveal is out far enough to accommodate the wall stud and some sheeting.
Yep.
To allow for that.
That's good. And you've painted the inside of this shelter. It's just an undercoat at this stage.
It was just to clean the container up a bit, because I guess we will most likely line it from the inside and sheet it up. So the problem you have, I suppose, is that if you're using just an undercoat like this, you can see that you've got to get the right undercoat too, because if you're using it in the kitchen and cooking area, you can flake off with all the moisture. Yeah. But it's not. It definitely wasn't meant to be a finished coat. You can see because the weather we have here is fairly humid. You can see there's a bit of mould growth on the ceiling and the walls starting to happen already. And
that's despite that I should imagine, if you're away that they would close the doors and windows, that this aggravates the situation too, I guess. It
does. Realistically, I guess we should put a roof ventilation system in. Yep. To alleviate that. Yep. Okay. Which we will look at doing down the track when we put a roof on this, to help with that as well.
And of course with the in winter months with the wind chill factor we get here, and believe me folks, it gets pretty cold. It goes what they call a lazy wind. It just goes straight through you, not round you.
That's it.
You've installed a fireplace, a wood heater.
Definitely. I wouldn't recommend to anyone to live in a container that is not lined without some sort of heating and or cooling. Yep. We get cold winters here, and probably not as cold by some places around the world, but certainly get some nights that get around about 0 degrees and -1 or 2, and without the insulation it is just like living in a tin shed. The steel takes on the temperature, if not sometimes cooler than the outside temperature, and it feels like you're just constantly radiating the heat or the cold off the tin.
It really sucks the body's core heat out.
Certainly does. It'd be hopeless trying to live in here through winter without a fireplace. Yep. That's certainly made it a lot more comfortable. If you can afford to line it and insulate it, do that. But whereas we weren't in that position to do that straight away. So yeah, it's still a work in progress.
Oh, that's good. And I should mention too here, folks, that as Steve said, it's a work in progress. Only 240 volt appliances. He's got his he's running off a gasoline generator, and until such time as he gets the solar systems up and working. But bear in mind that running things off generators, the cost of just the fuel alone, let alone servicing of generators and so on, can be quite expensive. Also with the right types of generators for certain electrical appliances, they use inverter technology or modified sine wave, which some electrical appliances don't like, so that's something else to be aware of. So
it's certainly not cheap running
no.
a generator all the time. We eventually want to go to a hybrid system using wind power and solar and a generator and battery bank as a backup.
Yep, that's
the long-term plan.
Pretty well cover most bases, won't it? Yeah.
Well, especially here where we are,
yep.
In a high wind area, so we may as well.
Oh, yeah.
It has its disadvantages, so we may as well get some advantage out of it.
Oh, it's perfect outside for wind generator.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's good. And as Steve said, you know, there's this particular type of ship container has a marine ply floor, much as the same idea as the 20-foot one I videoed a few days ago. But what Steve's done is just put down some floor covering here. If I remember correctly, we put fibre sheeting under this, didn't we?
No, we used masonite underlay.
Masonite, that's right.
On top of the marine ply.
Yep.
And we were given advice by professional floor covering installers, and that is that if you don't put your underlay down, yes, you'll get some time out of your vinyl, but eventually you'll end up with holes and tears in your vinyl. So certainly, it wasn't rocket science putting the masonite underlay down. So,
and that's a heat-proof sheet under that wood heater, or heat resistant.
Yeah, it's a fibre cement sheet.
Yeah.
I went to a bigger size than it was recommended, and we've even had some coals spill out further than that and burn the lino, so with vinyl. So in hindsight, maybe it mightn't have been a bad idea to come out maybe right across the container,
Okay.
or maybe even another at least 300 to 600 mil out further. To where it is, but yeah.
So yeah, well, that's another point, is it? The last thing you need in here is a fire, because believe me, she'll fill up with smoke very fast.
That's a standard 1200 by 2400 sheet, I think, from memory.
Yep.
As I said, we could have come out a bit further. We have to watch what we do. The couch is only in that position temporarily, but it can be a bit. Could be a disaster waiting to happen too, with the couch that close to the fireplace.
Yes, yes.
At the moment,
well, at least you've got exit points here too, Steve. I mean, worst comes to worst, you've got the windows. If you got a fire in the front of the shipping container where you can't get access to the door, then at least you've got that back window there, and
absolutely.
Perhaps a side window too. So
in summer, that made a huge difference, having the two windows, particularly the one window up the end of the container. At least we got a through breeze. Yeah. Because as soon as the sun hits this tin wall, you can go from being rather cool in here to rather uncomfortably hot. So definitely helps having a window in the end wall and a side wall. But ultimately, to line it would be the end goal.
And that's the big thing with shipping containers, is if you've got to have ventilation in them, to counter effect some weather events or temperature variations. Certainly, if you've got people living here, you've got to have air ventilation, and similarly, if you're using them for storage, you've still got to have air ventilation in it to reduce mould and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Absolutely, Dragon. The end container that we've got at the moment, we actually haven't cut through the sidewall so that you've got access to all the containers from here.
Yep.
The end container is our storage container, and it definitely, the wall on it faces due west, and in summer, it gets rather hot in there because there's absolutely no ventilation in it whatsoever.
Well, that's good, Steve. Thank you very much for allowing us to video this particular site. Folks, this is one idea for shipping containers of 40 footers. Steve's noted a few problems he had with installing them this way, problems he's encountered with living in it and fitting it out to make it livable. It's functional at the moment. Steve is actually living in it. Cost, Steve, I guess some people would probably think it's probably cheaper to build something like this. I know with the price of steel in Australia, that's not an option. If I can ask you, roughly how much was each container here in Australia?
You're testing my memory now, but I think each container was somewhere around about, I can't remember without finding the invoice, but I think they're around about $2,700 plus about $500 delivery, because you had to use a side crane on a flat deck truck,
okay,
semi, for them to get them off the truck on site.
And that figures roughly for each, rough figures for each container? Yeah.
These containers are what they call high top containers. They're actually 9 foot high or 2,700 high,
right,
which is better than the standard 8 foot. So particularly with this hot weather that we have here, it's a little bit better with the higher ceiling.
Okay. Alright folks, that's about it. Certainly a lot to be learned out of this. It may give you other options to look at if you're using shipping containers. As I said, this is Australia, and some of these ideas, Steve said, it may not be suitable for overseas, but there are certain basic things you really got to look at when using these containers. So thanks very much, Steve, for your time and permission to video this.
You're welcome, and I hope somebody gets some use out of the ideas that I've come up with. I'm definitely not an expert. Some things that work for me may not work for someone else, but if somebody gets some use out of it, well, that's good.
That's great. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.